Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to react to this Piers Morgan segment. He's got quite a diverse panel of people here, and I want to react to one portion of the segment where he speaks to David Pakman. And he asks him, what has Kamala done to help female athletes? What has she done to protect women's spaces, women's sports? In fact, it appears that she's doing the exact opposite, allowing women's sports and women's spaces to be put in jeopardy. So Piers asks David his thoughts on this. First of all, it's very hard to have this conversation with people who clearly don't care, who appear to not care about women or have much compassion or empathy for women and what female athletes go through. It's either they automatically assume that you're a bigot and their sympathy lies with the male athlete, with the male who identifies as a woman. That's where their sympathies lie, because you're a bigot, because you don't want a man in your locker room, because you don't want to have to compete against the male athlete. That always presents itself as the first barrier. And then it's people who consider this whole thing a joke. They don't have much compassion towards women who are dealing with this. They don't have much empathy towards women who are dealing with this. They don't even think it's a serious issue. And because of that, because they don't care, they haven't taken the time to read up on it. They haven't taken the time to establish a few facts. Yet, they will speak to you so condescendingly, with such arrogance, like they know everything, when really, they seem to know very little about basic biology. So let's have a look.
David, let me ask you this.
Politics as a cudgel.
David, let me ask you this. One of the things she stands for, along with Joe Biden, is she has done nothing while they've been in office to stem this, in my view, horrendously unfair situation of trans athletes competing in women's sport. And an astonishing survey has just come out today by the United Nations that reveals that female athletes have lost 900 medals to transgender rivals competing against them in women's sporting categories. This is a UN report. That's 600 female athletes in more than 400 competitions have lost nearly 900 medals in 29 different sports. When the average American sees that both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris now support this unfairness, and that's what it is. It's just unfair. It's nothing to do with being transphobic or anything else. It's just unfair. And when it's supported by a report like that from the UN, that's one of her problems too, is that people think they're supporting the indefensible. They lack basic common sense. What do you say to that?
I'm struggling to think that you're taking this any more seriously than as something that might generate clicks on YouTube, Piers.
Wow, you don't think that's serious?
Hold on, Piers, I can't even get a sentence out.
What, you don't think it's serious?
Hold on a second. The vast majority of those instances in the UN report are outside the United States and have nothing to do with the president or vice president of the United States at its face. And secondly, I would challenge you to tell me the quotes that Biden or Harris have put forward wherein they have weighed in on how sports leagues should be handling these decisions. But 92% of that study is not even in the US. So I don't even know why you're bringing this up other than
what's that got to do with the principle?
YouTube.
So his immediate reaction was to laugh. But it's not something he takes seriously. And of course, he downplayed the situation. It's not in the US, it's probably just a few athletes. And as Piers rightly asked, what does that have to do with the principle of this situation? A male athlete taking a medal from a female athlete in a women's competition. You either think that's right or wrong. It's got nothing to do with the nationality of the athletes. And we're talking about international events as well. These trans activists have a serious disconnect when it comes to understanding what female athletes go through, when it comes to understanding what women go through when their spaces are infringed upon. The fact is, even if it was just one woman affected by this, that is certainly one too many. Riley Gaines, Paula Scallon, Pater McNabb, their experiences matter. The young ladies in Connecticut who are going through a lawsuit at the moment because their careers in track and field were jeopardized by having to compete against multiple trans athletes. Trans athletes who didn't have any requirements, who simply just had to identify as a girl, and you had them competing in women's athletics. Their experience matters. Their concerns matter. Whether it's 5, or 500, whether they're American or Italian, like Angela, who had to fight a male athlete. There were careers, there were scholarships, there were opportunities being taken from female athletes. That affects the course of that woman's life, the course of that woman's career, because she was up against somebody who should never have been in her category to begin with. Guarantee you, if Piers asked him about reproductive rights, he would speak a lot more passionately about that topic, and he certainly wouldn't be laughing. So he seems to have forgotten about actual legislation that has been changed. Changes to Title IX that the Biden administration are pressing ahead with, to the point where a woman could be accused of harassment because she doesn't want a man in her locker room, because she doesn't want a man in her showers, nor her bathroom. This is the effect of changes to Title IX will have on our college campuses. So I could probably pull hundreds of tweets from Biden and Harris giving their support to this whole gender ideology. But where it matters is the legislation, and they're actively changing legislation to accommodate this ideology. They're actively erasing women and removing protections that are specific to females. Next, he goes on to make some bold statements that are simply wrong, but he will state them as if they are fact.
Of the principle.
I'm sorry?
What's that got to do with the principle?
Well, the principle is you're saying Kamala Harris and Biden have come out in support of this.
They do. They support policies which actively protect. They support policies that protect transgender athletes performing in women's sport. And I think that is madness. You're saying, well, because most of these things in this UN report were outside of America, it doesn't matter. It does matter.
What I'm saying, it's a completely contrived issue that almost no one cares about in every single opinion poll.
Wow. You see, I think that's incredibly deluded.
One of the most recent polls, Scott Rasmussen poll, found that 3/4 of people are against male athletes competing in women's categories. 72% of American voters are against this. Male athletes competing in women's sports is so absurd. It has brought people together, both liberals, both conservatives, people of all different political persuasions have come together on this one topic. This is the one thing they can actually agree on, because it's so bad, because they are so concerned about it. They're willing to put their differences aside to talk about this topic, to address the situation. They care about their daughters, their nieces, their granddaughters. They don't want their daughter in the locker room with a man. And most people understand that male athletes have an advantage over female athletes. Whether you want to admit it or not, it's fact. Most people understand that. Just like you wouldn't have a heavyweight boxer in a featherweight division. People who are reasonable could admit that it's simply wrong. This is the one thing that's actually woken people up and got people to think and say, wait a minute, they're going too far. They're taking this too far, and it is having real life consequences. So they go on to discuss Imane Khelif and Ting, male boxers who competed at the Paris Olympics in women's boxing. And you will see David use the typical deflection tactics. Oh, Piers can't remember the exact names of the boxers, so that negates everything he's saying, all the common sense. And then Piers points out that David can't remember the names either. And to me, it sounds like David is reading from a script, because he is literally repeating all the propaganda that they flooded us with during that time. He's repeating it word for word, including Russia, Russia, Russia. Yes, he blames Russia.
People do care about it. They care about the integrity of women's sport.
It just doesn't show up in any opinion poll as a primary issue. Not top 10, not top 20.
Out of interest, do you think...
They care about it, but it doesn't show up in a single poll.
What's your view? Do you think it's fair?
I think that it depends on the sport, and I think we need to talk about this for probably 90 minutes to really have a productive conversation.
Really? So when you saw the Paris Olympics and you saw 2 gold medal winners in women's boxing who actually were born with biological male chromosomes, you think that's right?
That is not the truth as far as I understand it. Really? I don't know who you're talking about. If you can name them, then maybe we can get into more detail.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. It was well publicized.
Well, tell me. Tell me who you're talking about.
I can't remember their exact names. There were 2 gold medal winners. Well, I can find them now if it helps you. I don't know why the names matter.
The one who was the source of a lot of viral articles was born a woman, always lived as a woman, and always competed as a woman. I'm sorry?
What was her name?
Imane something.
All right, so you don't know either. So don't be quite so patronizing if you don't know either.
That was incredibly frustrating to listen to, because you're making a big deal that he cannot remember the exact name. It's like, neither can you. Imane something. Imane something. He tried. So again, typical deflection tactics. If you can't remember the exact name, everything you're saying must be wrong. I can't remember the name either, but I'm right. Just ridiculous. So he will say things that are wrong as a statement of fact, because that's what he heard. That's what he heard in the media. And you're the crazy one for questioning things, for taking the time to really look into the matter, rather than just repeating what you have heard. Piers was referring to the two boxers at the Olympics that everybody knows about. Even if they don't know their exact names, they know that this was a big issue. This was something that the Paris 2024 Olympics is going to be known for in years to come. Whether you remember the exact name or whether you can pronounce the names doesn't take away from the story itself and what it highlights. That two male boxers were allowed to compete with women, punched women in the face repeatedly, and took 2 gold medals. That should have rightfully gone to female athletes.
But the truth is...
Well, you're bringing it up, Piers. See, here's the thing. Hold on a second, Piers. Hold on a second. You do this all the time, Piers. You bring something up, and then you evaluate your guest's opinion as to how much it matters. You brought it up. If it doesn't actually matter, don't bring it up.
No, just to be clear, you were haranguing me for not remembering the name. I said the name's irrelevant. What's relevant is whether the gold medal winners have biological male chromosomes when they're getting into a boxing ring
they do not.
and punching women in the face so hard that one of the women competitors, a female, quit after 45 seconds.
Yes,
because she'd never been hit that hard.
There is nothing to the story that the boxer that prevailed was ever a man.
Wow.
Just nothing.
And yet you know
nothing.
that
There's no evidence of it. It was a viral right-wing story based on nothing.
Hang on, you know that boxer was banned from the World Championships precisely because there is evidence. You know that, right?
Yes. Do you know the details of that, Piers? Do you know? Tell the full story. Go ahead, tell the full story.
That boxer was banned, along with the other one, from the World Championships because it has been reported that they tested positive for male chromosomes, right? If you know better, tell me.
That's not the full... I do know better, and I will tell you. That was done by a Russian lab who had an interest in disqualifying her because it jeopardized the undefeated record of a Russian boxer. It's just, that's all they have, and it's totally debunked. Piers, I thought you were better than this.
It's not debunked, and you'll regret saying that because it's true.
So Piers rightly said that David is going to regret his words, saying that it's not true that they have XY chromosomes. Well, just a couple of days ago, it was revealed that 2 hospitals collaborated together to write a report confirming that Khelif has XY chromosomes and male anatomy. It was confirmed that Khelif has disorders in sexual development, similar to the condition that Caster Semenya has. Khelif's condition, alpha 5, is only a condition that affects males. Whenever we talk about high testosterone in female athletes, we're talking about males. No woman has testosterone in the ballpark of 10 nanomoles. People have questions about these athletes because they are male, but yet they are competing in women's categories. They have the bone density, muscle mass. They punch 1.6 times harder than a woman. All of that matters when you put them in a ring with a female boxer. This is a safety issue. And anybody who's for male athletes competing in women's boxing is condoning violence against women. As the advisor to the UN said in her report, and not only that, you're condoning injustice against women, where they have opportunities stolen from them, medals stolen from them, prize money stolen from them, by athletes who have no business being in their category. So yes, it's 2 gold medals. David may think that doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter!
But that's another 2 added to the 900 that women have missed out on.
I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. The bill will also make clear that Title IX prohibits men from participating in women's sports.
You don't want your boy going to school.
So what are you going to do about that?
We're going to end it. It ends immediately. And you're not going to have men playing in women's sports if you have a daughter. I mean, it's so crazy.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president.
Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.